Yo, what is good, everyone? Your boy Deke back again with another vid. This one's just quick with some Steeler updates. Has to do with practice squad. We got some Joe Haden news, James Washington news, and then also maybe some free agents the Steelers should be looking at this time. So we'll start off with practice squad. Jalen Samuels remains on the team. He's on the practice squad. Mark Gilbert signs with the practice squad. Offensive tackle John LeGlue signs with the practice squad. We got Rico Bussey and also receiver Cody White. One name that's not on the Steelers practice squad is Quincy Rochet. He was picked up by the Giants. So the dude that we thought was such a steal in the 6th round was probably a 3rd or 4th round talent, had all that athleticism coming off the edge, is no longer a Pittsburgh Steeler. So I'm kind of bummed out about that. I thought for sure he was going to end up on the Steelers practice squad. But another team like the Giants saw his value and took the shot at him. What can you do? Was bummed out that we even cut him in the first place from the 53-man, but Jameer Jones deserved it. The question was, were we going to keep 5 outside linebackers, or are we going to allocate the extra roster spot to another position? And that's what we ultimately did. End of the day, not going to mean much for this season. Who knows what Quincy Rochet does down the line in the next 2 or 3 years. Tuzar Skipper a couple years back, we were all bummed out that he wasn't on the Steelers anymore. His career hasn't amounted to too much. We'll see if Quincy Rochet is the same thing or if he proves the Steelers wrong and makes us look foolish. Next, we have Joe Haden. Doesn't look like an extension is happening. I'm not surprised at all. It didn't seem like the Steelers were so gung-ho about it whenever the reports came out 2 weeks ago. It was either Drew Rosenhaus who dropped the news. I think even Joe Haden mentioned it in an interview that he wanted an extension before this upcoming season. He wanted to finish his career with the Steelers. Not happening. He's going to play out the season. He's looking forward to testing out free agency, he said. So the tune switched pretty quickly over these past couple weeks from I want to spend my career here with the Steelers to testing free agency, and then he tweets out #LastDance. Both sides just couldn't come to agreement. They're probably not seeing eye to eye on this. Steelers, you're not so eager to come out and pay maybe $8 or $9 million a year to an aging cornerback when you already have him on this year. I think he's age 32 at this point under contract. So why put out an extension for additional years that you just don't really need to at this point? See how Joe Haden plays. If he proves you wrong, maybe you do have to fork up a little bit extra cash this offseason, or he's going to go to another team. Maybe you like James Pierre's prospects. Maybe you like Justin Lane's prospects. Maybe you could just draft a cornerback in the 1st or 2nd round. So I don't think the Steelers were really looking to do that at this stage in the game, unless Joe Haden was willing to take a team-friendly discount, which I thought he was going to do. Maybe he was going to do. Maybe just the numbers weren't on the same page. So Joe Haden, team-friendly, was $7 million. To the Steelers, it was $4 million. Either way, I like the chances of Joe Haden having a really good season because he's going to be playing for a little chunk of change in the upcoming free agency period, whether it's for the Steelers or another team. He's going to be trying to ball out. So I think Joe Haden could have a pretty good year. He's going to be out for something to prove. Next, we have James Washington. Similar situation to Joe Haden. He's expecting to not be traded by the Steelers. And it was a very similar case. There were reports coming out. It was Drew Rosenhaus again that James Washington was seeking a trade. Didn't really like his role on the Steelers as wide receiver 4. We didn't blame him for that. We thought he was talented enough where he could get a shot on another team at wide receiver 2. Steelers weren't eager to make a move, though. And then we saw what happened a couple weeks later with Chase Claypool getting injured. James Washington still had another year under contract. Felt like the Steelers still had leverage in this situation. Because James Washington, you're not going to sit out or anything. You're not going to try to ruffle feathers in the locker room or make waves in the media, because that's not doing you any help for your potential free agency period coming up. Because who knows what's going to happen with our top 3 receivers. I expect them to all do really well, but we saw last year Deontay with the drops. Injuries happen. So if James Washington gets his role elevated, it's probably in his best interest to simply do his best, work hard, and hope to maybe hit the bank in free agency. But you're not going to hit the bank if you don't really put up numbers. That's why James Washington wanted to be on another team. We all understood that. But the Steelers weren't in a rush to trade James Washington. And yeah, looks like he's going to be on the Steelers for this upcoming season. Whenever the reports first came out, I was like, he's gone. Steelers are going to make this move, but they stuck to their guns, and James Washington is still on the squad. And then free agents to look at. We got Jimmy Moreland. I would love to get Jimmy Moreland, dude. It seemed like he was a pretty good player with Washington. His scenario is kind of weird, though, because he's on some type of like injury reserve waiver type of list. He did pass waivers. I don't think anyone picked him up, but I think he's going to be going through an injury settlement with Washington, so I don't know how many games he's going to be missing early on in the season. It's something to look out for. I think he's a talented enough player where he could make some impact if one of our cornerbacks get injured. I think our optimal lineup right now is Pierre on the outside, Sutton on the inside, and then Joe Haden on the other outside. But Moreland as the fourth corner, that would be a really nice addition for the Steelers and a nice added depth piece. And then number 2 would be Carl Joseph. We had him in for a visit earlier this offseason. It's like that safety type of role. I don't know how much of the slot corner he'd be playing, but just in terms of depth at safety, we have Trey Norwood and Miles Killebrew. I think Carl Joseph would be a big upgrade over those two. So let me know what you guys think, not only about some of these free agent picks, but the practice squad, Joe Haden news, James Washington news down below. I hope you guys enjoyed. Stay chilling. Peace.